We've constructed a couple 24-inch by 42-inch planters. We've topped them with wood and we've leveled them and placed them about 3.5 foot apart where the wood is. So we have a few customers that are going to be using this pipe, which is the top rail fence for chain link fence. They're going to be using this pipe to create trellises, and one of the customers will have their bed spaced out and be trellising in between, and I thought that would be a good idea for a video to show. So the first step is I want to determine my height of these trellises, and this pipe comes in a little over 10 foot lengths. The first thing that we wanted to do with the pipe is it has this bell end on there. So I cut it off. We won't be using it. After I cut the bell end off, I cut the pipe right in half, and it gave me two 61-inch pieces, which I think will be fine. When placed on the bed, you're looking at a little over 6.5 foot in height. So I think that's going to work out perfect. Now on this particular trellis, I don't want to just trellis in between here. I want to start here, come up and go over this whole bed and come down here, because I would like a sitting area here in the shade. So I'm using these floor flanges. So I'm going to place my floor flanges at the corners here on the wood. And you could also place these here if you would like, but I'm choosing to place them here. And the same thing down here. There. Here. Now I need to attach the floor flanges to the wood. To do that, I'm going to be using wood screws and washers. The holes in the floor flanges are a little bit bigger than the head of my screw, so I'm going to have washers on there to take up the space. Also note in the floor flanges that there is a hole for a self-tapping screw to go through to hold your pole in place. I'm going to be placing that hole towards the inside of the bed so we don't see it from the outside. After you have your floor flanges mounted, I suggest buying these caps. They'll go on the end of your poles. They just slide on the end. And then place your floor flange, or place your pipe in your floor flanges. Now that you have your pipe in the floor flange, you'll get a self-tapping screw. To secure that in the floor flange. Once your pipes have been secured to the floor flange, imagine the floor flange just as an anchor for the bottom of that pipe, because your pipe's still going to be able to move. So we're going to need to add bracing to this once we put our members across the top, and I'll show you what that'll look like. So you see here on our prototype trellis, we have these legs coming up, and the legs are attached down here to the wood. And from here to here, we have what we call a gusset. So as this tries to move in or out, it's attached to this rail, which is coming down with a gusset also, which makes it extremely rigid. And so we'll be doing the same thing with that, just using pipe. The next part we'll be using is this adapter that will fit around the pipe and allow us to bring more pipe off perpendicular from each other, both directions. So first, make sure that you have the corresponding carriage bolts, and when you buy this, it'll tell you what size to buy, and you can buy it from the same place online. I buy the pipe from somewhere local, so it doesn't have to be shipped. And the fittings, they normally don't have all these fittings, and so I buy them online, which we'll discuss that later in the video. You can also get this pipe and all the fittings in black also. So first, I'll put one of my nuts through, or one of my bolts through. Put the nut on. Put my other bolt through. And get the nut started. And I'm going to leave that just like that. And I'm going to do that to all 4 places. And I'll show you why we're putting them down here first. So the reason we started with these down here is if we were to move them all the way up to the top, remember these poles aren't straight up and down right now. We're going to do that when we add the gussets. But right here at the base, they're the same distance from each other. And so with these in place, I can stick my tape measure in against the bolt and then come to this other one, and I see that I'm 38 1/4 inches. So I'm going to write 38 1/4 inches down, and then we'll do the same thing with this one over here. We'll stick it up against the bolt. We'll come over here, and I'm 60 1/4. So I'll write that measurement down. And now I don't want our poles getting shoved up against the bolt. I want to give us some wiggle room. And so that 38 1/4, I'm going to subtract a 1/2 inch from it. And now I'm going to get 37 3/4. And then the same thing with the 60 1/4, minus a 1/2 inch, 59 3/4. So I need to cut 2 at 37 3/4 and 2 at 59 3/4. All right, I have all 4 of these corner brackets on, and so I'm going to take one end of my pipe, slide it in, and then I'm going to rotate this one to where I can get it slid in. And then I'm going to tighten this bolt just a bit to where it can still slide up and down. Same way with this one over here. And now I'm going to even this up, and I'm going to take note about the distance from this screw to the edge of the pipe on either side. Now I'm going to lift this up and cinch it in place. All right, now I'm ready to lift this up into place. I've got my drill positioned over here. I'm just going to stand on the bed. I'll bring it up to my caps, and then this side's gonna fall a bit. I'll grab my drill. Tighten that up a bit. Come over to this side. And I'm going to try to keep my same distance I had before. I'm going to loosen this side back up a bit because I need to pull that in just a hair to keep my distance the same. There. And I'll do the same thing with the other side. Testing. So now I've got my long pipe. I'm going to slide it in one end, push this back out of the way to get it slid in this end, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that I'm off my bolt about like I was when we done the measuring, and I'm going to tighten. And I'll do the same thing to this side. So I've got the gussets cut out of the pipe that we're going to use up here. The first thing we have to do is we have to take these end caps with a little flange in it there. And we need to use a self-tapping screw, and we want them sticking up the same way. So I figured out when drilling through this, I had to drill a pilot hole through these pieces because my screw kept slipping off, and so now we'll kind of see how that works. There. So I'll get the rest of these put together and then we'll start installing them, and we should be close to being done. So now I have our 8 gussets made up, and they're going to get mounted like this. So you'll use this band, this tensioning band, and you'll have to spread it apart to get it around the pipe and then spread it back together. After you do that, you can put this end here in the center, put your carriage bolt through, and then put your nut on the other side. And I'm using nylocks, so they're a nut that when it goes on it won't back off. It's a lock nut, just so I don't have to worry about that in the future. And then all my nuts are going to go towards the inside, so we won't see them from the outside. We'll just see this head of the carriage bolt. And so I'm going to get all these positioned, but I'm not going to tension them yet. I'm going to start by getting all of them in place, and then we'll come back and we'll start tensioning them as we square our frame up. So I've got these loose right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that to where it's pretty even, like we're running at a 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to tighten up one of these. And then I'll start to tighten the other one. Now I want to take a step back and see if I need to move that one way or the other. Because as I move this, I can set that angle with that, but it looks really nice where it's at now. It does look nice, but I thought, okay, I'll grab the level. So the level shows that it needs to come this way a bit. The last thing I'm going to add to this, I've got all the gussets up, so the last thing I'm going to add are these couplers here, and they'll mount on the ends of the pipe and will allow a pipe to come out one direction, and they have a bolt going through like this. So I'm going to put a center bar running from this end to this end because I want to put some welded wire on top. That way when I do trellis up, things have something to hang on while they're up top. We'll actually use string to get them up there, and then the welded wire will be the trellis part on top. And to install that, these are pretty simple. They're just gonna clamp on the ends. And I'm gonna go ahead and just finger tight the bolts up because again, I need to stick my tape measure in, measure over to get a measurement for the pipe we're gonna be using. All right, I've got my pipe cut. I'm gonna slide it into this end, tighten my bolt a little bit, raise it up, and I've got this end pretty loose. Now I'll tighten this bolt. Make sure the pipe's in there somewhat even. And then I'll just kind of look down and it looks like it's pretty centered. And I'll tighten it up. We've completed. We've put some of the wire mesh up top so we can hang off of also. I've got a string coming down to this cucumber. So once the cucumber gets up here, then I'll tie it off this mesh and we should be able to pick from right here. All the fittings that we used, we bought at chainlinkfittings.com. And they're all in the 1 3/8 size. And the pipe we bought at a local hardware store. It's 1 3/8. It's for top rail chain link fence. So the fittings, we used 1 3/8 tension bands. Those are the bands that wrap around the pipe to hold on to here. We used 1 3/8 corner line rail clamps, and those are the corner ones that are up here that can take pipe both ways. We used 1 3/8 offset rail end clamps. Those are these right here, so it just takes pipe one way. We use the floor flanges, which we have 4 mounted on the wood. We use the end rail clamps. Let me think about this.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah, the offset rail end cup.
Okay, to back up, the offset rail end cup are these little things that we put on our gussets that clamp to the tension bands. The end rail clamps are these guys up here. So if you're looking on chainlinkfence.com, they have pictures too, so it's easy to see. And the post caps. So we've got 4 caps on here. So this is a pretty affordable way to build whatever sort of trellis system you want. It's very sturdy. You can go just off one single bed, or you can link multiple beds together. If we wanted to go over to that bed, we could take horizontal posts that way and do the same thing. So we'll keep an eye on this summer, and we'll see what it looks like when our vegetables and fruits are hanging down.